Hello, everybody, and of course, welcome back to another episode of the Sports Plug with my brother and co-host Ishmael Sirion.
What up, what up, what up?
You already know if you are on Facebook, please make sure you like and share this broadcast so more people can check out the broadcast. As always, if you are on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell on YouTube. Yes, sir. And if you are on Twitch, because yes, we are on Twitch now, please make sure you go ahead and subscribe to our Twitch channel on the Sports Plug. All right. Well, if you are in the Houston area, you know, of course, what's been going on with not just us, but everybody that's in the Houston area or, of course, in the Texas region. We got hit hard, you know, when it comes to this Arctic blast. Not so much the cold, but mainly the aftermath with people, of course, homes, pipes being burst in their homes or loss of power, loss of course, water. And it's just one of those things that's cost a lot of people a monkey wrench in their plans, their day-to-day activities. But we definitely hope everybody can get back on their feet and get back to what we quote unquote call normal, because these last couple of years, man, it's not been normal. It's been a pain in the butt for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's been crazy, man. Real crazy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, of course, even though it is the offseason for the NFL, that does not mean that the NFL football news stops right then and there. I don't know about you, Ishmael, but the NFL has become a 365 type of sport all year long, no matter if it's offseason, training camp, combine, regular season. There's plenty of news to talk about in the NFL. And with that being said, because, again, we are in Houston, we are going to talk about the biggest news to drop in Houston, besides maybe the words Houston, you know, we have landed on the moon, or sorry, Houston, we have a problem. I apologize on that one. But J.J. Watt being released by the Houston Texans. Let's hear your words on this one.
I mean, you know, I kind of saw it coming. I think the organization, they finally did one thing right? So, like, they needed to let him go. He needed to be able to go somewhere where he can compete for a championship, or else he was going to stay in Houston and rot, because that's where careers go, to rot. And yeah, I mean, we pretty much saw that coming. We knew it was going to happen. I think a lot of people thought he was going to be traded instead of being released. I think the whole release thing was where you kind of had a discussion where people were confused at, like, how is this team releasing this guy? Why didn't they trade him? But, you know, I like that they released him so that he can choose where he wants to go next. I mean, he probably could have been in the negotiations for a trade. But really, I like that they released him, let him go out in the free agent market, find where he wants to go. It's a big blow for the organization, though, and it's a big blow for the city of Houston because of what J.J. Watt did for the city, what he means to the city, what he meant to the organization. So it's a definitely big blow, but it was the right thing to do. And, you know, at least they finally did something right.
Now, I'm happy you actually brought up both parts, the trade aspect and the release aspect, because he could have gotten traded and you could have gotten something back from him. And a lot of people that are Houston Texans fans feel some type of way about that. Why are you going to let him walk when you maybe could have gotten a 3rd round pick, a 4th round pick, something, right? You know, why would you let him go? Then you also have some people that feel some type of way that the Houston Texans allow JJ to just walk out. Again, we know they're two different situations, Deshaun Watson and JJ Watt, who we'll talk about very shortly. But a lot of people feel this type of way that the Houston Texans let JJ walk and pick his own destination now, instead of letting him go through the trade process the same way Deshaun Watson might have to do the same thing, as in, we're not going to release you or cut you. We're going to trade you if you quote unquote do want to leave. But in this instant, we're not even going to trade you, period. So what do you have to say about that for the people that feel some type of way about that aspect?
I mean, it's two different situations, right? Like, you got a guy that's putting in his time with the organization, was the face of the franchise for a really long time, is kind of on the back end of his career. And I think you do right by him. You let him go. While I am part of the free Watson camp, I do have to say it is totally different. In business, it is a totally different situation. This is a quarterback that is a young guy. Just had a career season, even with all of the injuries, how bad the offensive line was, had a career season. I don't think that anybody in their right mind is just saying, oh yeah, I'm gonna release Deshaun Watson, or I'm just gonna trade him for whatever. Like, I understand the organization's position as far as saying, you know what, hey, we're not going to trade this guy. We want him to be our franchise guy because we know how hard it is to find a franchise quarterback. Look at how many organizations are in this league that have been searching for a franchise quarterback for years now, and what that does to your organization and the chances of making the playoffs, winning your division, things like that. Like, if you don't have that guy, man, that is crippling to an organization. So I understand the Texans playing hardball with Deshaun Watson, although, yeah, I agree. Free Watson, man.
Now, of course, besides Watson and J.J. Watt with the Texans moving forward, you talked about this a little in the pre-show. It perked up my eyebrows. I wanted you to say this on live. Apparently, there's some news for the Houston Texans on the direction that they might be heading into for the 2021 NFL Draft. You want to speak on that right quick-ish?
Oh, yeah. So reports are that some people are saying they may be looking at drafting Justin Fields to replace Deshaun Watson, which – I think that's completely crazy to think. Number one, you got to hope that when you make this trade, first off, you're going to have to trade Deshaun Watson, which the organization has come out and completely denied at all that they are even listening to offers. So that's the number one thing. They're going to have to trade Deshaun Watson to be able to have a chance to draft Justin Fields. And then on top of that, Justin Fields is represented by the same agent that represents Deshaun Watson. So you've got to think that's going to be a sticky situation to handle. I understand when you draft a player that they really don't have a choice unless you're Eli Manning. But at the same time, for negotiations, for guarantees, or I would say the comfortability with the organization, feeling like this is their guy for the future. He's going to re-sign. He's going to want to be there long term. I've got to feel some type of way about going and drafting a player that's represented by the same guy who is our current guy and is asking to be let go. So that's another wrench that, to me, it just doesn't make sense. I honestly, if they do trade Deshaun Watson, I don't see them drafting Justin Fields. I think that they would probably look at drafting Zach Wilson or maybe like a Trey Lance or somebody else.
Okay, and with that being said, with Deshaun Watson in the Texans situation, do we still see Deshaun Watson in the Texans jersey at the start of this season?
It's tough to say. I would say it's a lot harder for this to go down than it is in the NBA. In the NBA, if this were the NBA, I would say 100% he will not be in the Texans jersey next year. It's a little bit harder in the NFL. I do think that he's probably going to get traded. I just think it's a really bad situation. The man said he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't he does not want to be there. He has made it very, very clear he doesn't want to be there. So I just think, just for the sake of rebuilding, because that's what the Texans are currently doing, you might just want to get as much as you can get for him and then, try to do what you can to rebuild. Now, the chances of you getting another guy like Deshaun Watson, not very high, because we see teams miss on quarterbacks more than they make an actual good signing or a good draft. So I don't know, man. I think he's not in a Texans uniform, but I wouldn't be surprised if he is. I wouldn't be surprised if the organization tries to force him to basically sit out a season like Le'Veon Bell, try to call his bluff and see if he does it. But I don't know. It's hard.
Well, for the people that's tuning in and watching right now, the Sports Plug, let us know. What do y'all think? Is Deshaun Watson, is he going to be in a Texans uniform when the season starts, week 1, 2021-2022 season? Or will he be traded before the season starts? Let us know. I want to hear from you guys.
Yeah, I want to hear from the people. I want to hear what you guys
think. Because I'm very
think.
interested, because this is something that's not going to just blow over. This is something that's going to go on for the next 3 to 4 months. So, could this be like a James Harden situation we saw with the Rockets, where he did end up playing for the Rockets for the first 13 games. I'm sorry, 13, 17 games, and then all of a sudden he's now with the Brooklyn Nets. Could we see that happen with Deshaun Watson and the Texans, where he's probably playing the first 3 games and then he gets traded? Or is
no. If he's still on the Texans, I don't think he plays. Unless he changes his mind and he decides, you know what, I'll move forward with you guys. Then I don't see him playing. If he is set on not being a part of this organization, if he's still on the Texans in 2021 at the beginning of the season, he will not be playing. Like, I don't see him playing for them.
All right. Well, I definitely agree with where you're coming from, and we just have to sit back and wait because we are not fortune tellers. So we, of course, we are definitely I'm waiting because I think it's going to be something that could unfortunately maybe put the Texans in a hole for the next 2 to 3 years if they mess this up.
I think they're already pretty much in a hole.
We'll see what happens. All right, let's talk about the first big quarterback trade that happened in this offseason. Jared Goff gets traded for Matt Stafford. I know when the news first came out, a lot of people probably feel like, Matt Stafford going to the Rams, the Rams automatically won because of who they got. But a lot of people feel like they lost because of the draft picks that they gave up for Jared Goff. But I'll be honest with you, and I'll be the first one to tell everybody here on the Sports Plug, I honestly feel like both teams won this trade. And what I mean by that is the Rams are playing for now. Okay? Let's think about this. It's not even just the Rams. Let's think of all the LA teams sports-wise, from the Lakers to the Dodgers to the Rams. These guys don't play for the next 3 to 5 years. These teams do not play for that. They play for we're winning a championship this year because we have to be competitive. We have to make money in that state. I would
argue
if you think about that state, like
you don't have the opportunity.
You don't to be trash. You do not. You do not.
You got to be a contender, or else who's coming to watch you? Who's
exactly.
Coming to support you?
Exactly.
Like, you got to be a winner to be in LA. So yeah, I agree. They have to play for this year.
Exactly.
They play for this year and next year and the next year, and every year they're gonna have to make trades to stay relevant, or else the fan base out there, I feel like they're
gonna go to the beach.
Runners.
You go to the beach, you go to the mountains, you go skiing, you go to Vegas, you go. If you're not competitive in whatever sports you're playing in LA, Miami, now with Vegas, with their teams going to be, they're going to have to start coming with their sports teams now. If you're not competitive, they're not going to come see you. I mean, look at New York with the Knicks. Yeah. I'm sorry, not with the Knicks. I'm sorry. The Knicks are always going to be. The Knicks are always going to be packed, unfortunately, even when they are trash. But just imagine when the Knicks actually get their stuff together and become serious contenders in the East. The Knicks are going to be rocking as well too. So getting back to football, with this trade, I honestly feel like the Lions, they won too with a very motivated Jared Goff. A lot of people probably is already writing him off because they probably feel like he's a system quarterback already, right, with the Rams. I'm one of them. I think he was a perfect system quarterback for Sean McVay in the Rams. So it's very interesting to see what he's going to do with the Detroit Lions. And then also it's going to be very interesting to see what the Detroit Lions and their organization do with the picks that they have moving forward, because you got a new head coach with Dan Campbell. You have a new quarterback. You're trying to not even change the culture. I'm tired of saying that in Detroit, because every time they change the culture, they just mess it up. Can you just at least build this right? Just brick by brick, no snowfall, but let's just try to get this into the right direction before we automatically start saying we're winning the division, we're going to the NFC Championship game, we're going to Super Bowl. You got to beat Aaron Rodgers first before the Lions can do anything, right? So let's just see what happens with Jared Goff playing for the Lions.
I mean, I would say at first I really agreed with you. I actually was really down on the Lions for this trade at the beginning. When I first heard the trade and I heard what they gave up, I kind of thought like, man, this is not good. I just felt like it was yet another example of Detroit being mediocre. But then when I sat back and I kind of looked at it, and I kind of watched some tape on Jared Goff, went back and looked at what he's been able to do, especially when he's healthy. I really like this trade for the Lions. I like it. I think that it'll look good for LA on the front end, but I think ultimately the Lions will be the winner. Even if they miss on some of those first round picks, I think what they've done on the offensive side of the ball alone will help them moving forward. They're getting a lot younger. Matt Stafford, let's be honest, Matt Stafford's getting up there in age.
Injuries.
Injuries and stuff. Now is the time to cut that loose. You get a younger guy in who's been able to lead a team to the Super Bowl before. Whether or not you think that was the system, I think that just from having a younger guy to pair with those running backs that you have in the backfield, we saw what Cleveland was able to do with their 1-2 punch. Can you maybe form something like that in Detroit with Kerryon Johnson and DeAndre Swift? It's possible. The receiver position, you are losing your top guy to free agency, but are you able to get some people in there? You got a really good stud tight end. I mean, they've got a good making of a solid offense in Detroit. Now, they got some other pieces that they need to fill up, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Mm-hmm. But if I'm looking at it from a building standpoint, I think that they won this trade. Moving forward, they're going to win the trade. And they just need Jared Goff to, play up to what he did a couple years ago. And I think if he's healthy, he'll do that. I think he'll do it.
I mean, of course, time will tell. Besides that, I know as Greg would say, that's a cop-out answer, which I'm not going to do. We have to really wait and see how healthy, and besides Matt Stafford, how healthy Jared Goff is. He's had his share of injuries as well, too. He just got done playing, of course, playoff game with a messed up thumb. I'm not saying that it's going to linger over into this, start of the season. What I'm saying is he has been a little injury beaten up as well too in his career. Let's hope he doesn't play in Soldier Field and get knocked out by somebody, with the Bears. I'm saying there's some bad boys over there with the Minnesota Vikings, with those defense, with the course of the Packers. He's going to play against some pretty decent defenses, and I just want to see how well he can hold up in the NFC North. Also as well, let's tune into the comments. Apparently, I have my uncle on the comments saying he's a Lions fan and he feels like that they won the trade. So, again, Lions fans, of course, they will feel like they won the trade, but we have to wait and see what happens with how everything develops, because
those draft picks are going to be that's going to be a big part of whether or not they win the trade.
And I was going to say this with the draft picks situation. I think the draft is turning into the same way I look at stats. And what I mean by that is a first round pick sounds sexy, a second round pick sounds sexy, but the guys that really make a career in the NFL, those third round picks, those fourth round picks, those fifth and sixth round picks, because some of those are a lot of those guys feel like they got slighted. So they use that as motivation to play a lot better, because they want to use that. Okay, you felt like such and such is better than me. Okay, bet. Besides Tom Brady, of course, Lamar Jackson uses it. Aaron Rodgers uses it. It's the list goes on to where just because you're a first round pick, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be great. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be great consistently throughout, the next 5 to 10 years. And I think sometimes we get so enamored with the notion of, this is a first round pick, this guy's automatically going to be great.
Yeah, I think I think it's the hype, right? ESPN does a good job of hyping up the first rounders. We like to talk about how good the first rounders are, but when you actually look at these teams and you look years down from the draft, it's really the guys in the middle of the draft that help really build your team and make your team into a championship team. So, while it's nice to have the first round picks, and it definitely is a immediate talent boost, or it can be an immediate talent boost. You got to make the right pick, though. That's the thing. And sometimes, some teams are going to pick best player on the board. Some teams are going to pick, best need. But I think it's just going to depend on the pick. I think that they still can win the trade without hitting on those first round picks. But what will make it hands down win is if they do manage to hit on those first round picks. If they can do that, that maybe changes the direction of the organization. We see them competing, because let's not forget, Aaron Rodgers is on the tail end of his career. So Green Bay pretty soon is going to be looking, they're going to be turning over the reins to a different quarterback. They may have him in-house already. But, you know, that's a whole situation that they're going to have to deal with. You still got Chicago trying to deal with their situation over there. So, you know, I don't know. We'll see. But I do like what the Lions have done so far. I like that offense look. And I think that, you know, next year they could be the surprise team.
All righty, then let's tune into the comments just 1 second. Christine, this was one we talked about, of course, with the Texas situation. She says hard to say what the Texans are going to do. Jason also says Texans actually need to trade White. Even with him, they will suck. Of course, you know, they
saw that this year.
They released him, so, you know, of course, he's gone on that one. And, of course, I will say, I don't know about you, Ish, but one thing that is definitely is not hyped is 7 Spice Cajun Seafood. Of course, for checking out the Sports Plug, March 1st through 7th here in Houston, Texas, at any one of these 11 locations, you can go and enjoy a free chicken tender basket. All you have to do is mention the Sports Plug. You'll receive a chicken tender basket. Make sure you share your meal on Facebook and Instagram and tag 7 Spice in the Sports Plug March 1st through 7th. Alrighty then. Like I said, one thing about this quarterback carousel is that we did not know where it was going to start and where it was going to land. And it ended up in Philadelphia and stopped off in Indianapolis with Carson Wentz. And let's be real, Ish. If the people that are tuning in right now, if you tuned in to the Sports Plug plenty of times, you would know that I have definitely called Carson Wentz going to Indy since day one. I'm pretty sure most of us, if you are football people, probably knew the history that he has with the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, which is, of course, Frank Wright. And that one, I think we all pretty much saw this one coming, correct-ish, with Carson Wentz going to Indianapolis?
Yeah, I mean, he's been linked there for a long time. A lot of people wanted him to go there. They wondered if Indy was going to make that move. You know, I at first thought maybe Stafford to Indy, because Stafford seemed like the best situation as far as if you wanted to immediately get a veteran guy in there who was going to make you immediate, you know, not Super Bowl contenders maybe, but, you know, a deep run in the AFC playoffs. I thought maybe Stafford was the guy, but when Stafford went to LA, I think it was written in stone at that point that Carson Wentz was going to Indianapolis. So he gets the trade that he wanted. He goes to Indianapolis, where, I mean, immediately he's going to plug in and start, because I don't think that they have any faith in Jacoby Brissett. But that's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see if he's able to rekindle the fire that he had when he was an MVP candidate. That 1 year where he looked really, really good and then got injured, unfortunately. The biggest thing, my biggest takeaway from this trade, the biggest thing that I picked up, if you're the Jets, you got to be livid. You got to be on fire. You got to be hot. You know why? Because the market for Sam Darnold just took a huge hit. I thought when the trade happened for Matt Stafford, I was thinking maybe this quarterback market is going to look up for the teams that are trading quarterbacks away. They're going to get a lot of pieces and everything. And then this trade went through. I know you got some information about that conditional second-round pick, but let me just say this. If the best that they could get, the Eagles could get for Carson Wentz, who had that year where he was pretty much the MVP, a third-round pick and a conditional second that could turn into a first-round pick. What are you getting for Sam Darnold? Like, let's be honest. What do you get for Sam Darnold? Sam Darnold is nowhere near Carson Wentz. He hasn't played anywhere close to Carson Wentz. So if I'm the Jets now, I don't know how I feel about this. I probably should have moved Sam Darnold before this, because now you're not getting anything really for Sam Darnold. It's going to look terrible. So I think the market has gone back down again, and teams behind them are going to suffer. I think the only team that really didn't get hurt is Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco, because I think the one place that I see him going is New England potentially, and they're going to have to give some stuff up to get him.
Going back to New England. That's what it sounds like to you. All right. Well, the funny thing about this trade, because it kind of reminds me of the Rams and the Lions trade when it comes to both. I think it helps both teams, even though I think the Rams and the Lions trade was a better trade for both teams to get better now. I think this trade for both teams was a trade to get better for the future. Even though I still don't believe Carson Wentz is the guy in Indianapolis for the Colts to win a Super Bowl, I think he can make them competitive. I think he can maybe even squeak out a division title just because of how good the Colts are on defense. And if he's able to play decently and just, not just turn over the ball all the time, I think he can be able to be a catalyst to help win a division title, because the AFC South is just, it just seems like if the Texans don't win it all the time, if the Colts don't win it all the time, here come the Texans, and then the Titans just give it up from time to time. So
I mean, but also another thing is that looks good for Carson Wentz. I mean, let's think about it.
I agree, but
you got the Jags.
But that's what I'm getting at. You have an opportunity to redeem yourself, Carson Wentz. You have an opportunity to redeem, like this is, I think, seriously, this is a great opportunity for Carson Wentz to put everything behind him. What happened with the injuries, with Philly apparently 8 to 10 weeks not talking to Doug Peterson. This is a great opportunity to start over, win some games, give your team an opportunity to win games, because you're not messing it up. And he could redeem himself, have a second chapter in his football career with the Colts. I can really see this happening, but we have to wait and see. And another thing, again, with this trade is, like we talked about with the second round pick that could turn in a first round. The reason why that is because Carson Wentz has to play at least 75% of the snaps for the Colts for that to become a first round pick. So my apologies as well. So also as well, if it can also become a first round pick if he plays at least 70% of the snaps and the Colts reach the playoffs. So of course this trade is mainly based off of Carson Wentz's health. If he can play and he can stay in the game, then it's best for, I honestly feel like, for right now, for Indy, for the future Philadelphia, depending on what they do with their quarterback situation, which we're going to talk about in about a couple more minutes. That's what we're going to have to wait and see, what the Eagles and their general manager, Howie Roseman, what he does moving forward. Because I know with the Eagles fans right now, they are scratching their heads because they kind of don't know what's going on with their team moving forward. Let's get to the comments right quick. Christine says, zero surprise that Carson Wentz, went to Indianapolis. My apologies. Carson has played 75 of the snaps or 70 plus playoff and plus a playoff appearance for the Turner first rounder. Yes, thank you. I just said that. And Jason says, just need to move on from Donald. We agree on that one. Christine says he's walking into a team with a good line, good weapons, good defense, a familiar coach that loves him. Great opportunity. He couldn't really ask for much more. I agree with all of that except for the line. If you look at the line is falling apart, kind of like the Dallas Cowboys just 3 years ago. No, seriously, just 3 or 4 years ago, the Dallas Cowboys had the best line in the NFL, and now just like that, I mean, it has crumbled. If you look at the offensive line for the Colts, I mean, just except for Quentin Nelson, everybody else has either gotten hurt or retired just this offseason, and it's going to be very interesting, again, to seeing what the Indianapolis Colts do moving forward with this quarterback and the rebuild of the offensive side, because the defense is set with Darius Leonard. They pretty much have everything set on the defensive side, but on the offense, it's going to be very interesting.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now, like we talked about with the Philadelphia Eagles and their situation, is Jalen Hurts at the moment Jalen Hurts at the moment is QB1, but when the season starts, will he be QB1-ish?
I don't think so. Well, actually, let me take that back. I do think he might start out the season as QB1, but I definitely see them bringing in another quarterback. Whether it's a veteran quarterback or they draft a quarterback, I see them bringing in another quarterback to compete for that spot. If not initially, somewhere towards the middle to the end of the season. I don't necessarily believe that they're sold on Jalen Hurts yet. He played really well, and I thought that he did well, but at the same time. I still think that that front office, they're kind of about it. So yeah, I think that we could see another quarterback get into Philly and push him in the offseason. And it'd be a nice little quarterback battle going through the first couple of weeks of the season. So he may start day one, but I don't know that I'm necessarily sold on him being QB1 for the entire season for Philly.
Well, I'll say this, and I talked to my buddy Adrian Lunsford about this when it comes to Jalen Hurts and him as a person and him fitting that type of city. He's a guy when it comes to his career from high school to college has worked hard, has been quiet, it's just go out there, grind, and everything that he, has that he puts into the work in the offseason is translated for him into the regular season. Unfortunately, of course, we saw him got a spot taken by Tua, but then when Tua got hurt, he came in, wasn't pouting, wasn't doing any of the things that you see backup quarterbacks doing on the sideline because they got their spot took. And when it was his moment and his opportunity to redeem himself, he was able to do that. I think he's the perfect quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles and the type of character and people that they are when it comes to that Rocky type of mentality, right? I don't think that he's automatically going to be given QB1 though. I agree with you. He's going to have to compete for it. My thing is, and this is what I'm really worried about, Ish, don't go get a quarterback in the first round to compete with Jalen Hurts. I honestly feel like you're going to.
Oh no, you set him up for failure.
That's what I'm getting at. You feel me? That's what I'm getting at because you can use that first round pick on an offensive lineman, and that offensive lineman is going to be there for the next 8 to 10 years to help out whatever quarterback that you have back there. You see where I'm coming from? Because you can skip out on that quarterback that you think was going to be great in the first round, get that quarterback in the third, fourth round. You can compete with him, even though he might not make it. Even though he might not beat Jalen Hurts. At least you have a capable backup that knows the system that we know that we can trust and depend on. Okay, even though he didn't beat him out, at least if Jalen Hurts get hurt, we know we have somebody that's reliable that we can put in, and we might come down a notch, but at least he doesn't mess up the whole game for us.
I just think that you draft a quarterback in the first round, you're setting Jalen Hurts up for failure. Whether or not he plays well, I feel like the fan base is going to call for that first round quarterback because that's what fans do. They want to see the first round guy. You spend first round pick on a quarterback, they want that guy in. And I mean, at the first sign of trouble, there he goes. That's kind of the reason why I thought Carson Wentz should stay in Philly, because I thought at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts throw 1 or 2 picks, they were going to put Carson Wentz back in because everybody was going to say, oh, man, remember he had that 1 year where he was the MVP. You guys gave up on him too quickly. You need to give him a chance. And then he was going to be right back in there. So I think you draft a quarterback number 1. You set up Jalen Hurts to fail because he's going to have to look over his shoulder pretty much moving forward until that quarterback is traded or, something else, or he wins the Super Bowl, basically.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I don't know if you've seen on social media, they already have a TikTok reel of all of Jalen Hurts' bad plays already. So, yes, I agree with you. It was if Carson Wentz stayed in Philly and, like you said, let him have 2 out of 3 bad games in the start of the season, they would have pulled him out. Here you go, Wentz. Here goes the team again.
So, he would have got the team back. I mean, I understand he just didn't want to be in the organization anymore. He lost trust with them, so that's why he wanted out. But at the same time, if it were just about playing time, my thing was, you're going to be right back in because 1 bad game. I don't even think 2 or 3. I think 1 bad game, and they probably going back to Wentz. So I think that Jalen Hurts, I'm hoping that they don't go and draft a quarterback in the first round. They give him an opportunity to play. He's going to get some weapons back. I think they're going to be a little bit more healthy. I expect for the Eagles to be a bounce back team next year and really compete for that NFC East, which it's not very hard to compete in the NFC East because look at the trash that they put together this year. But
Dumpster.
I expect that the Eagles will be up there in the conversation and probably make the playoffs.
I wouldn't say all that. I wouldn't say all that. We're gonna have
They're in the NFC East.
We're gonna have to hold now there, no shit. No, I don't know about all that playoffs just yet. All right,
they're
now
in the NFC East, so
I got you, but
it's not hard to make it.
Can we wait and see what happens with the Washington football team and see what quarterback moves that they make?
Yeah, sure.
That's so you can roll your eyes all you want to. It's division champs. It's still the division champs.
Wait and see. I mean, I actually like the Washington football team.
I know, but you can't. I know. If you tune into the sports plug, you know you was.
But at the same time, I think that the Eagles. To be honest, the Eagles are my most disappointing team of the season because they should have won the NFC East.
I'm happy that you bring it up because we have that show coming up on Tuesday when it comes to the season recap, and that is definitely one of the topics, most disappointing team of the season. So definitely tune into the sports plug on Tuesday. We'll talk about that at the end of the show for a 2020 NFL season recap. All right, let's check out the comments right quick. Christine says they have the number 6 overall pick. Howie Roseman got to go until he does. There's no telling what decisions will be made. Hurts deserves a shot. But if they draft another quarterback in the first round, who knows what will happen? They'll put themselves in the same position as when they drafted Hurts. When they still had Carson, it would be a mess, but I feel like that's exactly what they'll end up doing. Shaking my head. Well, speaking of the draft and speaking of another quarterback situation with the Eagles, there are reports saying that the Eagles might be targeting another North Dakota State quarterback in this draft. Highly touted Trey Lance out of North Dakota State apparently might be on the Eagles' radar, and that is what I was talking about just a couple minutes ago when it comes to why would you want to put yourself in this position, the Eagles, to where you have a quarterback kind of already. This is a pretty decent quarterback, but you bring in a guy like Trey Lance who still has a lot of question marks when it comes to him being a quarterback, even though his touchdown to interception ratio is pretty outstanding, 33-0. But the competition, just like I stated about Carson Wentz years ago, North Dakota State as a program is great, but the competition they play against, it's not the SEC. Shoot, it's not even the Big 12, okay? So with that being said, how do you feel about the Eagles maybe trying to make this a quarterback battle with a unproven quarterback from North Dakota State?
I mean, I don't necessarily agree about the competition level thing. I mean, yes, there is a difference in competition, but there is something to be said about somebody who is able to go out and compete at the level that they are and win games regardless. You have to play who's in front of you, and he's gone out. He's done that. He's got the tape to prove that he can do it. You've also seen other quarterbacks from that level be successful, Carson Wentz, but more importantly, Joe Flacco. So I think that it's possible to make that jump. Now, the problem that I have with that is not the competition level. My problem with that is what we already said with Jalen Hurts. Like, you got to give this man an opportunity to show you what he actually has and give him a fair shot at that number one spot. If you bring in Trey Lance, there's no way he can actually have a fair shot at all because there's going to be the rumblings all year long about Trey Lance. When is Trey Lance getting in? Is Trey Lance going to play? I mean, it's going to be nonstop. And eventually you're going to end up putting him in because of the pressure from the outside, not necessarily because Jalen Hurts isn't the right guy for the job. So that's my only thing about the Trey Lance thing. I think some team will draft Trey Lance early on, and It may work out, it may not work out. It'll be up to him and his preparation and what he's able to do and the scheme and fit and all that. But the most disappointing thing for me about this rumor and about them potentially drafting Trey Lance is that you need to give Jalen Hurts his opportunity. I would rather you get a veteran player who you can bring in, who can help him out, help him study, help him learn.
A lot of rumblings of Fitzmagic showing up.
Hey, I wouldn't mind Fitzmagic.
A lot of rumblings of Fitzmagic making an appearance.
Hey, he's the perfect kind of guy to get in there. If you end up getting Fitzmagic in there, it works out. But if you don't, I think you definitely try to get some sort of veteran presence to come in there and just kind of solidify that room, and then let Jalen Hurts do what he does. And if it doesn't work out, you got a veteran to come in and step in. But I don't want them to draft a quarterback in the first round. And to get Trey Lance, you have to get him in the first round.
No, I agree, man. It's how can I word this correctly? We're not trying to say it's not fair for Jalen Hurts to not get an opportunity because, hey, this is the NFL. Ain't nothing fair. It is what it is. What we're saying is that, dang, the Eagles won't even give a guy like Jalen Hurts an opportunity to maybe see what he got before you bring in somebody that, again, we don't even know how good he can even be just yet because he hasn't played a game in the NFL. I'm not talking about college. I'm talking about the NFL. When Jalen Hurts, with his first game, let's remember, it was against the Arizona Cardinals. At that point in time, they had the best defense, passing defense, I think, at that time. And a lot of people thought, Jalen Hurts is going to do this. He played a pretty solid game. He didn't play great, he didn't play horrible, but he played very solid. And out of the games he played, I think maybe had him only just one bad game. But again, we won't know how good he can be until he's able to get some more reps under him. So we just have to wait and see what the Eagles do moving forward with Jalen Hurts, because it's gonna be very interesting. Christine says she agrees with Ish 100%. If you're not willing to give him a shot, why the hell did you take him in the second round last year?
That's a good question.
I mean, that's
a really good question.
That's something that you have to talk to the Eagles organization about, Christine, because that's something we're trying to figure out as well. And speaking of shots, make sure y'all go ahead and give this chicken tender basket a shot on March the 1st to the 7th in Houston, Texas. Please make sure you mention the Sports Plug and get you a free chicken tender baskets. Make sure you share a picture of your meal on Facebook or Instagram and tag 7 Spice in the Sports Plug because, first of all, who doesn't like giving free food a shot?
Free food.
Hey, it's free food, baby. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. It's delicious. It's free. It's nutritious. And 11 locations around Houston, Texas. Let's go ahead and get it, baby. Hey, chicken's protein, baby. Chicken is protein. All right, that's what we're going to do right here. All right, Christine also says, let's not forget the rest of the team was injured and trashed last season.
I agree. Look, that's why you should give him a shot. Let's see what he does with full health. Let's see what he does with a full team.
I'm really getting tired of people talking about teams being injured, okay? The 49ers team, the whole team was injured, and they over here competing, okay?
Yes, we know.
All right, stop. Next topic. Jesus Christ. Injuries. Everybody here, oh my God. Yes. You know who's injured too? Dwayne Haskins, probably mental, being in Washington with the things he probably had to endure, which was just, it seemed like maybe just a little tough love. Just maybe seemed like a little tough love that Dwayne maybe didn't want or need at that time, because let's be real, he was playing at home and he probably had a lot of home cooking. He was comfortable. And it just maybe seemed like, let me explain, it maybe seemed like it just wasn't a good fit for him because he was comfortable in being in Washington, D.C. area. So with a guy like Dwayne Haskins, a lot of people felt like his career was already over before it started. It seemed like Mike Tomlin was able to put his arm around Dwayne Haskins and say, come here, big fella. Let me talk to you for a second. Let me go ahead and put you on some game and let you know what I can do for you. And with that going on, it seemed like Dwayne Haskins has found a new home in Pittsburgh for the time being. With the Pittsburgh Steelers and their quarterback situation, because I'm going to bring that up, I'm about to bring this up shortly. We talked about all the quarterbacks that are futures that are in questions moving forward. Of course, Deshaun. Of course, Matt Stafford has gotten traded for, of course, Jared Goff. Carson Wentz is in Indy. We, of course, now have Dwayne Haskins in Pittsburgh, but even with Dwayne Haskins and his situation, I don't think a lot of people are even sold on Dwayne Haskins as a quarterback still, and especially Pittsburgh Steelers fans. With that being said, is this a good fit for Dwayne Haskins in the Pittsburgh Steelers? Because I think a lot of people still have question marks on this move.
To be honest, I don't have question marks on this move. I actually love the move. Other than the fact that I didn't want anybody to touch that man with a 10-foot pole after we had the strip club incident. But I think if anybody was going to take a shot on him, this was the perfect spot for him to land. I say that because everybody knows Mike Tomlin and the type of organization that he runs over there, the way that he handles his team and his players. And I think that the one thing about Dwayne Haskins, I don't think a lot of people were talking so much about his play or anything like that. A lot of things that were coming out of the locker room in Washington was just his maturity level, his preparation, just the way he approached the game. I think that was the big problem that Dwayne Haskins had in Washington. So for him to go somewhere like Pittsburgh, where he can be with Mike Tomlin, who's going to give him a little more structure, a little more direction. He can sit behind Ben Roethlisberger. He doesn't have to play immediately. He gets time to learn. He gets time to watch, get those mental reps in. I think it's a perfect spot because really you could sit this whole year behind Ben Roethlisberger. Maybe he gets hurt because we know Big Ben's had some issues with injury of late, but maybe he gets
like
hurt
every year.
You get in a couple of games, maybe you play a little bit here and there. And who knows? You could be the quarterback of the future for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It could work out that way. Or you can continue to not you can continue to be immature. You can continue not to approach the game the right way. You could really just miss your opportunity with this chance, and then Dwayne Haskins is going to be looking for another team again next year. But I think that he's going to do what he needs to do to sit behind Big Ben, learn the game. He's going to listen to Mike Tomlin. He's going to be in a good situation there in Pittsburgh. They're going to put their arms around him. He's going to have people, from that organization that, from the past. You got like Cordell Stewart, you got Hines Ward, you got Ryan Clark. You got people that are going to make sure that they love up on this young guy and give him some of the information he needs just to be a professional. And there you go. I think that he will be a success in Pittsburgh. I don't know if he is the quarterback of the future. That's still to be seen. But I think that he had the talent to play in Washington. It's just that he wasn't quarterback material when it comes to everything else.
I definitely agree with that, especially the maturity part, and that's why I also said I just don't think he was mature enough to stay in his city, to be a professional quarterback in his city, because it would just, it was easy. I guess you could say, like, why would I need to be with the team when I can be at home with mama, eating home cooking. It is what it is. So with that being said, same with like we talked about before with Carson Wentz, this could be a good opportunity for him to start over and have a second phase in his NFL career to where it allows him to rebound and have a prosperous NFL career. Hoping the best for him, but at the end of the day, the journey. I'm sorry, the person that is going to be leading him to where he needs to be is going to be him.
Yep.
He's either going to be great or he's just going to be an okay quarterback, which is nothing wrong with that. Make a lot of money, be an okay quarterback, or he might be out of the league sooner than later. So we have to wait and see. Christine asks, are you going to talk about JJ? I'm assuming she's talking about JJ maybe heading to Pittsburgh, or she's either asking about JJ, what we talked about earlier. But when it comes to Houston Texans releasing JJ, we already talked about earlier. So you can always, of course, tune in when the show's over with and listen to that part. But we'll talk a little bit about JJ and the rumors maybe teaming up with his brother to go to the Steelers and play with them. Honestly, I never saw that happening. I know that was a cute story that everybody wants to happen, and the reports are coming out that could happen. But the teams that I had on my radar always were the Rams, the Buffalo Bills, Tennessee Titans, the Browns, and also the Chiefs.
I don't see the Browns happening. The problem with the Pittsburgh move is the money doesn't make sense unless he's willing to take a huge huge pay cut.
Yeah,
The money just doesn't make sense in Pittsburgh. I don't know how they move things around to get him in there if he wants to go there. But I agree with the Bills. I think the Bills is a good fit. I would love, of course, I'd love to see him go to Kansas City. I think that would just.
Shoot, I would love to see him wearing a Titans jersey in Houston.
No.
I would love that.
He's not going to do that.
I would love that.
That's also why I don't see him going to the Browns.
I don't see him
for the Oilers or the Browns.
Stop calling it the Oilers. Anyways,
bro, y'all the Oilers.
I really, honestly, and truthfully see him going to Buffalo. I really see him going to Buffalo.
I'm interested to see that, maybe.
Because for some reason, I just feel like he will, him and Ed Oliver, I mean, I really think he can help out with that defense they need. I think they need that another guy. And it's not even about it's not about the play on the field. It's about the mentality. It's about that guy that JJ is, that motor, that, the things he do on the offseason to help you get better for the regular season. I think they need somebody like him to be in Ed Oliver's ear 24/7 to become, the best that you can. I would love to see him with the Rams, though. But money-wise, I don't know if it's going to match up. I would love to see Aaron Donald and J.J. Watt. That would be great. And I think the Rams would win. That's Super Bowl. That's Super Bowl. Honestly, I think that's Super Bowl. Yeah. But we just have to wait and see what J.J. wants to do. Some people think the Bears because his wife plays professional soccer for the Chicago team there. I don't think that will happen, but Christine feels like Green Bay. I honestly
homecoming. Yeah.
Homecoming.
He can go home. He can go home.
I just don't see it there either, but we'll see. We'll see. That's the reason why football and not just football. All sports free agency. I think it's
that's what you gotta love about the offseason.
I love free agency because some of these old traditional people love, people staying on their team for 5-10 years. But I love it when these guys have the opportunity to put their futures in their hands and say, I want to go this place or I want to go that place. It's great, and I think it makes the league that much better too.
Yep, I agree.
All right. Well, let's talk about our last topic, and this is something that does not make the league that much better. And we usually don't like to talk about things like this because I consider this more like a entertainment news crap or something like that. They'll talk about this isn't what we talk about on Sports Plug. But I just want to talk about this right quick because like what I brought up about the quarterback situation, I'll bring it up one more time. With quarterbacks who are in question for their their futures, we see a guy on there in the middle. His name's Cameron Newton, correct? All right. So as much as we love this guy, we watched him since Blinn Junior College to Auburn to Carolina to New England. I think we want to say this as people that actually care about Cam. One, this is not a good look, Cam. Two, come on, man. You gonna let your little young buck get y'all in your feelings like that? Come on, Cam. Cam, damn. Now, if you haven't watched the video, you can always check out the Sports Plug Facebook page because I did put the video up on there. And it's just Cam going back and forth with a little camper at a football camp. And the camper is saying to Cam Newton, that's why you trash, you're a free agent, and now you're broke. And Cam is, of course, going back with him saying, I'm rich, I'm this, I'm that. And at the end of the video, he asks to see, his parents, where your parents at, this, that, and the third. But here's the thing. And Ish, you can backdoor me when I get done. I just didn't feel like Cam needed to do that because Cam, this isn't 2015 Cam anymore where you could joke around, right, with the kids and, maybe say something funny like that, a little hee ha ha. Because we've seen videos of Cam getting into it with campers before. This isn't the first time. But right now you're kind of looking for a job. I know New England, technically he's still with New England, but he's most likely not going to be with New England this upcoming season. And with your play on the field, it does not give you an opportunity to be a starter next year. Just being honest. And they will use these things to say, hey, Cam, I don't know if you be a starting quarterback. Hey, man, you go ahead back and forth with these kids, So I'll just look at that video and I just roll my eyes because honestly, I'm just very disappointed. And I just hope with Cam, we don't think of him more of the BS that happened off the field or not recovering the fumble in the Super Bowl or the silly stuff that happens in training camp with him and Josh Norman, instead of actually remembering him for what the great things that he was able to accomplish on the field.
I mean, for me, Cam showed some restraint. I agree. He could have showed a little bit more as far as like, just don't even entertain it. For me, more so with the video, the camper, like, what is wrong with you? Seriously? Like, I don't understand. As a camper, you're at a camp where
you're paying money. You're paying money to go there.
Money, or somebody paid money for you.
Yeah.
And you're blessed enough that you have an NFL guy somewhere that you, as a football player, not quite at the NFL, not even close to being in the NFL yet. You are not in the NFL, but you got somebody from the NFL who has done it. And that's how you behave. That's how you repay him, taking his time out to come in. I mean, offer whatever wisdom that he's able to offer you guys. Like, that's how you respond to that, by calling the man trash and saying, oh, you're a free agent. Sir, he's in the league. Like, he's in the league. Not only is he in the league, that man won an MVP. So while you're saying, oh, he's trash, this, that, and the third, like, if I'm any college coach, I think that this is a high school camp or whatever. If I'm any college coach,
it looked like a middle school camp. Like,
yeah,
he looked about 12, 13 years old. It wasn't in high school.
Well, if he's in high school, if he's in middle school, whatever, if I'm a college coach, I don't want you in my program. Like, it's just plain and simple. I don't want a guy like that in my program. Like, that is the most disrespectful thing that I have seen in a long time, especially for somebody who's obviously you're striving to get to the league, and to treat somebody who's been in the league, done it at a really high level, an elite level, for you to have that response or whatever. Like, right, you'll be lucky if you make it to the league. You'll be lucky if you can get a D1 scholarship. So I don't know, man. I didn't like it at all. I thought that it was, the other campers that were standing around watching it too, like, man, at some point you got to step in and just tell your dude, like, man, you need to chill out.
Come on now, we were young at UT football camps.
Hey, I'm an old man.
Let me explain. You know dang well ain't no kid's gonna tell another kid, hey man, you should stop that. Come on now.
I'm not saying you tell him to stop that, but just tell him, like, hey, bro, like, come on, man. This is
you saying this at 30 years old though. You ain't saying this at 13.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm old. That's what I'm saying. I'm an old man. Like, you know, I'm at a different place in my life. Maybe when I was a young whippersnapper, I would have done it too. Yeah, I don't know, man. Cam shouldn't have entertained it at all. He should have just kept walking. Don't even give me the time.
I agree. And Greg says, if I was Cam, I would have got that kid up out of there. I wouldn't have entertained that kid in the first place. He was trying to go viral, obviously.
Yep, clearly.
I didn't think about that, Greg. And unfortunately, with this viral generation,
do anything to go viral. They will do anything.
And unfortunately, that is correct. And some of these young bucks feel like going viral is more important than having a professional career, you know, moving forward. So the reason why, again, I said about with Cam when it comes to the restraint part is because I just feel like, because you're a grown person, I feel like you didn't have to put yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
That's all. I know emotions are running. I understand that, looking, now that when he goes back and look on, he probably be like, dang, that was dumb of me, but I just want Cam to be successful moving forward. So that's why I'm just like, dang, Cam, you don't need to do that. And hopefully we don't have to see any more videos. And it's only February. Like, why are we having, and that's what I said to in the pre-show is, why are we having camps already in February? It's too early to be having camps in the first place. It's only February.
It's crazy.
Come on, now y'all messing up y'all kids' knees. You messing up y'all kids' knees taking these kids all these camps.
They should be running track or doing something like that.
It's very true. Put them on that soft dirt. All right. So with that being said, before we get up out of here, we just have to let y'all know just one more good time. You already know. Go ahead and go to 7 Spice. Get you a free chicken tender basket sandwich. Chicken tender basket if you mention the sports plug. And also, sorry about that. If you mention the sports plug, you also just have to, of course, take a picture and put it on Facebook and Instagram. Tag 7 Spice in the sports plug in your post. at all or one of these 11 locations: FM 1960, Galleria, Gulf Freeway, I-45 at Wayside, Umberland 59, Katy, Missouri City, North Freeway at I-45, Pearland, South Houston, Fuqua, and I-45. So if you didn't get it, obviously there's a lot of locations off 45. So if you're off 45, ain't no excuse to go get you a free chicken to the Mexicans. Alrighty then. Well, that'll do it for today. We will be back on Tuesday though to recap the NFL season as a whole. We were supposed to do that last week, unfortunately, due to, of course, the natural disaster that happened here in Houston. It had to get put on hold. So we'll be back on Tuesday around 4 o'clock ish. Good for you?
Yeah, that'll probably work.
That's good. Let's go ahead and do 4 o'clock on Tuesday right here at the Sports Plug. We'll have your NFL season recap. With that being said, thank you guys for tuning in one more time.